Good morning. I'm Diane Brooke from the Catholic Education Office in Sydney. We've heard yesterday and again this morning mentioned the PISA testing results as the international scores, and I'm just wondering if you can give us some reflection on how that kind of testing and what that tests is actually sitting with the kind of learning that we're looking at in the 21st century.
Well, you wouldn't have asked the question if you didn't know there was a hopeless misfit. There's a reason people walk around the world saying easy pizza. It's a load of tosh, really. And as you know, pizza's being rewritten. Anyway, I mean, there's a fundamental problem with trying to ask anybody the same thing, because we're all learning in different ways. The strength of this is how we move forward. Look, I can find you a little example here, I think, probably. We'll kind of illustrate that. Let me just have a little rummage around, see where I put it. Yeah, here we go. Look, this is a simple little example, really. Now, you know, this is from Japan. This is how you multiply by drawing lines. It's pretty simple stuff, really. 21 times 13. I'm going to do 2 lines and then 1 line for the 21. And then I'm going to do 1 line and 3 lines for the 13. You can see how all this works. Do it yourself on the way home. And then we're going to add up where the lines cross on the columns. There's 3 columns, if you like. There's a right-hand column, there's a 3 lines cross there, 1, 2, 3. You don't have to be very good at maths for this. 2 cross there, there's 2. And in the middle you've got 6 up above and 1 down below. If you see what I mean, you see that? Yeah, of course. And you know, we've got very down 273 turns out to be the answer, doesn't it? That's rather good, isn't it, really? That's tragically not in the PISA tests. There's a serious part to this answer, though. I'm going to have to stop this, because you're all captivated now. You're not here to learn, you know. There's a serious point about this, which is that of course, we've built a model of learning on seen before, met before. And PISA is absolutely about testing whether people have met stuff before. You know, you see teachers outside the exam room, the kids are going in, and the teachers are worried because have I shown the children all the possible questions that they might have met? The children are thinking, when I turn the paper over, will I recognise what I say? Oh yes, I know this one, I can do it, I've met it before. But we're in a world, as Robin said earlier, we're in a world where we haven't met anything before. We haven't seen global economic collapse before, we haven't seen global warming before, we haven't seen the level of tension between cultures at the level of war before, we haven't seen water shortage before, we haven't seen food shortage, we haven't seen meteorically rising and falling oil prices. The whole world we're in is a world not met before. So the worst possible thing we could do would be to impose on children a model of met before. That would be a catastrophe. And you know, just to throw out, I promise short answers, but I can't help myself. I mean, in universities, it's got to the extreme that 30 years ago in a university, to get a first class honours, you would have had to astonish your professors. You produce a paper, they say, damn, I never expected this, it's really good. They'd rush down the corridor and show their friends. Now, to get a first class honours degree, you've got to produce the most anticipated paper. You've got to produce the thing that marked in. There's all the things you might mention, he's mentioned all that's worth the first. So we've completely inverted it from a model where we valued ingenuity and originality and collegiality and mutuality to a model where we're valuing uniformity and conformity and certainty and predictability. Nothing could be more catastrophic in the 21st century. Oh, that's another question. Shorter answers.
One right here. Thank you. And is there something that I can just get a microphone to? Okay. Okay, keep your eyes open. Thank you very much. Good.
Stephen, this was just a follow-up to what you were saying yesterday. Oh, sorry, Daniel Ambassador. Just to follow from what you were actually saying, yesterday we were talking about our national curriculum coming in and determining a kind of fundamental structure for our curriculum. And today we're listening to you as saying we shouldn't have the checkboxes. We've got PISA, you said, that is too simplistic, and we've got a challenge on our hands as to how to give an assessment system that might allow us to judge the value that these alternative methods are making. Do you see there being some ability for governments to get the evidence they need to let their students go in these kind of ways?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely it's down to us. You know, what governments would like to say is, look, we've spent money and things are better. You know, the electorate, they think, don't understand. Actually, all they can say is, we've spent money and things are different. And here's our evidence about why different's better. And that's about us collecting those metrics. But, you know, in the cinema industry, I do a lot of work in cinema and new media. You know, the glamorous bit of my life. I know it's not obvious. But when they shoot the end of the movie, they show it to people, and they say as they come out of the movie, what do you think of that? Was that good for you? And if people don't like it, they'll spend millions of dollars remaking the end of the movie. You know, Pride and Prejudice famously, when they showed it in America, people wanted a proper snog at the end instead of smouldering glances in it, some lip action. So they reshot them. We can ask children coming out of school, how was it for you? And look, you know, no surprise, we do ask them. This is Campaign for Learning, saying to children, what are you doing in classes at the moment? What would you like to be doing? And what do they say they're doing in classes? The most depressing report. This is this year. 52% copying. And by the way, when they go home and copy from Google, we have a national panic about plagiarism. It's like, that's what we taught them to do. And listening to a teacher for a long time, you know. What they want to do is this. And that's encouraging. That's an unashamedly constructivist model of learning. Group learning, practical stuff with others, sense of audience, technology rich. In fact, now look, you don't need me here of all places. You don't need me to tell you, look, they don't match. You know, and if we end up with a measurement regime that dragoons us into, it's depressing. But it's not. But actually, it's not depressing because this is a people-central event. This is about mutuality. It's about collegiality, about people doing for. You know, you go to Google doing this thing with images of them. It's really fab. You know, they've struggled to get. I mean, how do you index those 10 hours of video that are appearing every minute since I started talking? And the answer is you get people to make that judgment. They have a wonderful little project running where if you've got 20 minutes of time on your hands, you log on, somebody else will be paired to you, somebody else somewhere else in the world, and they keep showing you images and you type the keywords and you describe it. And you get rewarded as a couple for, you get points for picking the same keywords. So you're focusing quite hard on what would other people see in this picture. And in doing so, suddenly, you know, they've got hundreds of millions of people around the world busy indexing their stuff in a way that computers couldn't begin to do. And this is a people-centric, it's absolutely about us. It is about us. You know, the shock with the finance industry, all those people in the finance industry knew they were doing the wrong thing. They knew that the house prices were too high. They knew that it's not, golly gosh, rocket science. Giving money to somebody who can't afford to pay it back is not the best idea you've had, is it? Parents know this.
One more. One more? Here.
Ishmael's ACTD. Stephen, you talked about building schools for the 21st century. Can you say what you see as the essentials?
What do I see as?
The essentials in building those.
Oh gosh, yeah, I absolutely can. I mean, and some of the things that we're building aren't the essentials. Of course, you certainly don't need corridors because why would you spend a fifth of the budget on little narrow spaces to move children around when they're never going to move? You know, they need to be agile above all else. Learn to chart an agile space. School needs to be like a stage. It needs to be something you can configure and reconfigure and configure again. If you ask for a place to be flexible, you get those horrid room divides that fold up that we get in conference centres that all get broken. You know? So agility is about being able to reconfigure in response to your needs. And I believe actually that they need to have small social groupings. You know the way that Reese High School down in Tasmania has Cherry Burton School, you know, and a lot of others. The schools I'm building in the Caribbean, the kids spend their time in just 125. That's the unit group. And I had those children talking to a group of head teachers from Kent just the other day, and what they were saying to the head teachers was quite powerful about how they, in the smaller school, they couldn't get away with anything. They knew who everybody was. They were engaged in their learning, and it was a proper community of learning. And the head teachers, who were all head teachers of huge schools, and were a bit senior level, they said to the kids, "So what do you think the ideal size for a school is?" And the kids said, "Honestly, we don't know. In all honesty, we don't know." And you can see the heads kind of relax and the pressure's off. And then the kids said, "Well, we don't know, but we do know that they'd never be bigger than 250, but we don't know what the ideal size is. It might be 10. But you know, to get to 250, stop right there.